It's the Sheriff Podcast, baby. Yeah. It's the Sheriff, AHL Man of the Year. 500 pro fights in his career. Got the record for most ice fights in the season. You fought the Sheriff, lucky you're still breathing. It's the Sheriff, AHL Man of the Year. 500 pro fights in his career. Got the record for most ice fights in the season. You fought the Sheriff, lucky you. We filmed the pod today. You listening tomorrow. The heavyweight champ, yeah, Sean McMahon. 13-year pro, yeah, he holding it down. Big man playing it right, thumbs up to the crowd. Rookie season threw it up, most tilts in the
Welcome everybody to an exclusive episode of The Sheriff. Boy, oh boy, do I ever have a treat for you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is very unique for two hockey players not only to be on the same team, but to be playing together on different levels. Now, what if I were to tell you that these two players were drafted to the same National Hockey League team? But what if I were to also tell you that these two players developed an incredible friendship, yet were going for the same position? And what if I were to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that we are both here right now, and I'm gonna bring the big man out. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls all over the world, I would like to introduce to you my guest tonight. He hails from St. Catharines, Ontario. At 6'4", 225 pounds, he is a heavyweight. He was drafted by the Buffalo Sabres, 34th overall in the second round in the 1998 NHL entry draft. He led the AHL in penalty minutes with over 388 his second year pro, over 380 games in the NHL and AHL, the current host of After the Whistle podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, my good friend, Andrew Peters. Petey, we're here, buddy.
Brothers don't shake hands. Brothers hug. What movie is that? Tommy Boy. I'll beat you to it.
Tommy Boy. So Andrew, honestly,
thank you
buddy,
thank you for the intro. It's always great to see you. Your beautiful mother Sheila. It's been a long time. I've missed you. I've missed you guys. I've missed you guys a lot. And I'll tell you what. This is long overdue, man. This is long overdue. And I wanted to have you on our show, and we tried to connect back and forth, and I wanted you on mine first, and you were asking me to come on yours, and I wanted you on mine first, and life just can't batten down a time, and then I hear you on Spittin' Chicklets, which you were fantastic. I mean, they do a fantastic job, okay?
Yep.
You were fantastic on there, and I hope that has helped your audience. And Terry Ryan.
Yes.
Talk to Terry Ryan about you.
We gotta give TR a shout out here.
You know, we had a great conversation about you, but you and I together in person, it's long overdue, and I'm so grateful to be here and make the trip up.
Well, hey man, I gotta give a applause to that too. We clap for each other around here, Petey. I appreciate everything that you just said, man. And like, to be honest with you, Petey, like, I was trying to explain in the live videos I was doing before we got here that all the hockey players, all the sports people in general, they all know how it is when you see a teammate that you haven't seen in so long, that feeling that you get, the battles that you've been through together, the team camaraderie that was involved when you knew each other so well, and it all comes back. Right away, ladies and gentlemen, it all comes back. I experienced it today, so thank you, buddy, for letting me feel some nostalgic moments today.
I couldn't believe when I saw you, man. I couldn't believe when I saw you. And, you know, like, from the time you and I started talking about getting together and getting on the air together, listen, it has been a 2-year emotional preparation to come and see you. I mean, this is a long time coming, man. Like we go back, and I didn't want to write anything down, and I didn't want to rehearse anything, but I took the GO train in from Trafalgar, not from Buffalo. Guy thought I'd take the train in from Buffalo. So I took the train and I was just reminiscing, and I just wrote down some of these.
I'm a sweater, man. I'm a big sweater.
Listen, how many years has it been since I've seen you?
I would say the last time I saw you.
What was your last training camp in Buffalo?
Last year with the Rochester Americans. My last training camp in Buffalo.
What year was that?
That was the year that we fought 5-6 times in training camp.
Do you remember that? And I was telling that story the other day on our podcast. I got together with an old buddy of mine, Chris George, another super tough guy back in the day.
Very tough. Shout out to Chris George, by the way. Chris George. Yeah, Chris.
And you know what he said about me? You know what he said? He goes, man, I wouldn't have wanted to fight you. I was like, really? Because I don't think I would have wanted to fight you either. So, but here, like, it's amazing how that happens. And so thinking about stories on the way up here, man, there are so many great memories that I have with you, like so many, and like good, bad, envy.
Ugly.
Well, envy. Like you got called up before me. You got called up for that fucking game. I'm gonna pardon my language. You can edit that out. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. You can swear.
You got called up for that game, and I remember the build up to that. You and I, do you remember that?
Yeah.
I was like, man, I think you're getting called up. I don't know, man. Maybe both of us were getting. Did you know how long in advance did you know you were getting called up?
Cunny pulled me aside after practice.
How many days in advance?
This was on a Thursday. I played on the Saturday.
I know. We were going to Chicago, so that's the first time you knew.
Yes,
we watched
Thursday morning.
We watched that game from a bar in Chicago after playing the Chicago Wolves, and I had a real chip on my shoulder after that, man. Like I was, and nothing you did. I mean, you earned it. You earned it, man. I mean, but I was truly pissed about that, and that motivated me.
Yeah, no.
But you earned it. I mean, I saw what it took. You were hungry, and I'm glad you got that game, man.
I appreciate that.
You were in that the hard way, man. Yeah. You were in that the hard way. We both did, but you were in that the hard way. So, but I remember that. I'll never forget that.
Right on. Well, I mean, I appreciate you saying that and sharing that. The thing is I think on this episode, it's a little bit different. The experiences that we've had together, you hear around the campfires about two guys that were in camp and they were friends and they had to do this, they had to do that. But we lived it. We're here right now. We're telling the story. So it's different than any other possibility. Now, I think that we're going to get into things where we were able to motivate each other. And I'll give you a reason right here. So my first year pro with the Rochester Americans was your third year. You were a veteran. You were established. You were respected. You took me in like I was your little brother, okay? As our Todd Sawaski appraisals mentioned it, the Bruise Brothers. That's the way I thought of it as us. Do you know? But just let me finish, Peter. Do you know how much confidence you gave me knowing that my partner in crime, my line mate, the guy I looked up to as a veteran, actually believed in me? You told me how tough I was every time. You were the guy that came to the box. I led the league in fights that year.
It's only because I wanted you to fight all the guys. I wanted you to fight all those guys. I'm like, yeah, you go. You go, Macker. Go get him, man. You're good. Hey, I got your game in the NHL.
You did.
I didn't. You did. But I was like, this is great. We got a hungry young rookie. He's like me. Get out there. Yeah, go get him. Sick him. He's a righty. Oh shit! Wait, no, he's not. He's a lefty. I forgot.
Hey, the only time that I wished it wasn't me really that year was probably 6'9" Mitch Fritz. Do you remember when Milwaukee came into town?
But you handled him.
I was lucky.
I fought him in the NHL. I fought him twice. I fought him when he was with Tampa in the preseason, tore my tricep. Then I fought him when he was with the Islanders, and I just held on for dear life. I was just like, Jesus, he had such a hold on me. And I was like, I don't know if it's hard for guys my size who usually fight guys that are smaller to fight a guy bigger because it's so different.
Yep.
Like, because you can't. I was like, shit, this is a weird position.
We're not using our reaches.
I'm the smaller
that's for
guy
sure.
here, and not even close to the strongest. But Yeah, I do. I remember that. I loved it. I was like, what was the other guy named? The other guy used to fight all the time. I was like, yo, get him.
Denny Lambert?
No, Skurlak.
Robbie Skurlak.
Skurlak.
Big Robbie Skurlak. Probably, I think they probably had to get custom helmets for Mr. Rob Skurlak. Because honestly,
He played
Rob
games-
Skurlak's head was both of our heads put together.
Massive.
That honestly.
Head like a basketball. But you know what? Listen, though. He got games in the NHL.
He did.
He played with, he got some
New Jersey,
games,
right?
He got some games with New Jersey.
And he scored. He scored.
Yeah,
He scored in the NHL.
He scored a goal in the NHL.
He never scored in the AHL, but he scored in the NHL.
Yeah, he scored a goal in the NHL. I remember that.
I'm not sure if he scored or not in the AHL, but
I think it might have been his first game. If I'm not mistaken, he might have scored his first game. And it might have even gone off his foot. I'm not joking. But I'm not trying to be an asshole. I think it might have gone off his foot because he scored before I did, and I was extremely envious again. But do you remember the first time we ever crossed paths?
Man, you asked me this before. I have so many good memories, but you're just gonna have to tell me, Petey.
I was playing for the Kitchener Rangers.
Yes. Yep.
And you were a rookie for the Sarnia Sting.
Yep.
And I don't remember the score of the game, but I do remember looking over at Sean McMorrow on the bench, and I was getting hungry.
Oh, I think I might know where this is going.
And I looked over at him, and here he is, like this. And I look, and I'm like, "Are you the new guy?" And you're like,
Oh. Hey.
Wait! I think my skates are loose here. I gotta tell you.
There's three sides to every story: my side, his side, and then the real side. So Petey, all jokes aside, one of the reasons why I really wanted you on my show is because honestly, buddy, out of all the guys that I played with, character-wise, personality-wise, by far Andrew Peters is on top.
Thank you.
That's what we, yeah. We gotta recognize that. So now saying that, I always try to figure out, where does this come from? How did these big characters come about? How are they created? I like to go to the beginning. We're going to St. Catharines. We're going to St. Kitts, buddy. I want you to talk about St. Catharines a little bit. I want you to talk about your family. Now, pardon my ignorance. Your mother and father's names, brother, I couldn't remember.
Ann and Sandy.
Can you say it again?
Ann and Sandy.
Can we give a shout out
to Ann and Sandy?
Creating this wonderful gentleman. Let's talk about St. Catharines, buddy. Let's talk about you growing up.
Well, my motivation to play hockey stems from my brother. I think you know Jeff very well.
Absolutely.
You both have a mutual admiration for each other, loved each other as teammates. And, and if you wanted to hang out with the cool kids and you wanted to hang out with the good athletes and the good players, you had to play and you had to be decent, right? Because he was always a dominant young player. He was a second overall pick in the OHL draft. In fact, the irony is unbelievable. Chris George beat the living shit out of my brother. And we have pictures of it. He's this big, tough guy from Sarnia taking on the number 2 overall pick. That's like you. That's like you fighting. Who was our first overall pick? Who was that would be like you and Sarnia fighting Steve Eminger, or Derek Roy. Way to go. Way to go. Way to go.
So now,
hey, stay on topic. So anyway, my motivation, that was my childhood. My dad was the athletic director at a private school, Ridley College. We grew up practically on campus. We had access to the arena all the time. I mean, it was like 3 a.m. We would skate until the lights would go out. The Zamboni guy would lock the doors, and my dad had this big ring of keys to the whole athletic department, and we would go and skate all night with our buddies, and it was Jeff's buddies. And if you wanted to be able to hang and play with them, you had to be able to play, and you had to be tough. And that was kind of my inspiration, I mean, it was strictly through him. And my parents, they sacrificed time, effort, money, as you know,
big time,
to play this game, to get to the OHL. I mean, it's such a crazy sacrifice, right? So
it's a huge journey.
It's you ever wonder, like, what if we didn't do it? But I don't want it's a story for another day. But
Yeah, no, for sure. I always do. Yeah, you know what? That deserves a clap as well. So now, Petey, it's interesting.
Klesla. Klesla.
Yeah.
Then you get traded to Kitchener. Sorry, man.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
I have so many
nostalgic
memories.
Nostalgic memories trump anything I gotta say.
Klesla.
Now, what he's referring to there, ladies and gentlemen, is Radoslav Klesla, who did play in the NHL for a while, right? Played for the Brampton Battalion, making big hits in the Brampton Arena. Wasn't going to let him off the hook. I had to yell at him the whole time, tell him I was going to kill him. Pretty much that's what he's referring to.
Klesla.
I like the...
I'm coming for you, man. Echoing throughout this whole empty Brampton Battalion arena.
No
that
one
was
at the
built
arena
way
in Brampton.
like totally thought for sure they were going to sell this place out. Empty,
Yeah.
30 fans. Klesla. I was like, this guy's unbelievable. I don't have to worry about anybody. Oh my God.
So now, you didn't have to worry about anybody having a brother like Jeff that was 2 years older than you, though, Petey.
No,
Right?
I had to worry about him.
Well, you had to worry about him. But one of the things I was going to ask, I love that you brought up Jeff. Now, Jeff is a 78, you're an 80, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's 2 years older than you. Do you believe that Jeff is responsible for your toughness? Was he beating up on you when you were kids? Did he toughen you up? I think I'm responsible for both my brothers being tough as heck. What do you think, Petey?
Absolutely.
Yeah, there you go.
Absolutely. I remember my brother javelin through a hockey stick. My parents had this like frosted glass. It was like probably in half an inch thick, just kind of between the door and like the living room behind there. There's like a shelf, and I'm going around the corner, and he javelin throws this thing, and I right through the window.
Yeah.
Comes over, smacks me sideways in the head. My eardrum pops.
No way.
I can't hear for like 3
Ringing.
days. His buddies had to fight them listen, as you know, I mean, you gotta earn your stripes sometimes, right? So I'd say a little bit, but then again, the game of hockey brings that out. When you're a big hockey player, you don't have a choice. I mean, you get to a certain age where you go and skate anywhere for any tryout or anything, and it's kind of like, survival of the fittest when it comes who's going to be the most noticed, which big guy is most willing to go and do something to have someone say, holy shit, look at that guy. And then all of a sudden you go make a good play, and it's like, oh, that's the guy that got in the fight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it just kind of like itself perpetuates, and then over time you get kind of groomed into this chucking line forward. Then
True.
you get groomed more to a fourth line checking line forward. And then it's, he's a tough winger. And it's just, and then so on and so forth. And here it is. You're at a decision. Mm-hmm. Do you want to advance?
Do you want to move on, or do you want to chicken out?
Or do you want to stay? Are you happy with tier 2 junior A?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Is the OHL is an opportunity? There are scouts in the OHL. Remember the old saying? There are scouts in the stands with contracts in their pockets. Coach, give me a break. Right?
Yeah, no,
and then
you're
you're at the
absolutely
OHL,
right.
You get noticed.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the way it is. I mean, it's at the time, it was the way the game was at the time.
The game was very, very different back then. But now, you were mentioning about the fact that you could have some skill, but you'd be pushed into that role. I want to talk about the decision for you to go to the Oakville Blades, and then after that, Georgetown. Let's talk about that time right there. Because I've seen some big numbers, Petey. I
moved away from home when I was 15, kind of out of nowhere. Probably shouldn't have. Wouldn't change anything because I have my son. So let me just make that clear. Because of hockey, where I landed, all that nonsense. But I left home at 15. Train wreck of a year. I don't even want to get into it. Just a year of complete disappointment, over expectations, underachievement, all of it. Right? No understanding of what the game really is and how to play the game within the game. Like
Yeah.
There's a behind-the-scenes game, okay?
Oh, yes.
Especially in the Toronto area. All right, let's just call it what it is. There's a ton of politics in youth hockey. There has been forever. There was when I played. It's sickening, but that's conversation for another day.
I agree with you completely.
And so then the next year, I talked to this guy named Rick Bintz, and he was this tough, hard-nosed, old school coach, and he calls me. I had a choice to go to a few teams, and some of these teams were good, and I might have been like the young kid with the prospect who could play a little bit, or I get this call from this coach who says, the only person in the world I've ever allowed to call me Andy.
Really? Andy?
Yes.
No, I don't like that.
No,
at all, man.
me neither. Do I look like an Andy?
No. Man.
So
Not
anyway,
even close.
so he's the only person in the world that's allowed to call me Andy. He'd be like, Andy. I'm like, okay,
You allowed it.
You can have this one.
Yeah.
So he's like, truth is, we're gonna suck. We're gonna suck. He goes, but if you come here, you work hard, you'll learn how to play hockey, and I'll play you a lot.
Hey, but that's what you're looking for at that
I'm
time.
like, sign me up.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is perfect.
Right on.
We go there, and sure to his word, he kept true to his word.
Yeah.
We won 3 games.
Whoa.
Okay?
Sounds like my Mississauga
So he was
Ice
as
Dog
honest
day.
as they get. We were in 2 of those games in the first 3 games.
No way.
Yes. So how's that for finish of the season?
Wow.
But I had an awesome year, and then I got drafted in the second round of the OHL.
I was going to
by
ask you, how
Oshawa.
high did you get drafted? Like
35th overall.
Okay.
35th overall. I got drafted in the second round of the OHL.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, I was disappointed in that. But you know what? I was happy to go to Oshawa, his historic franchise. Ended up living with some great billets there, Nancy and Bill Knight. Keep in touch with them to this day. More my parents than me, which is kind of the story of us. Like, I'm terrible at getting in touch with people, but I'm always thinking about them, and they're always in my heart, right?
Yes.
And and I had a great rookie year in Oshawa. I mean, then I got drafted, and it just kind of, I say great. I mean, I got put on the map in a hurry, and a lot of that was for a number of reasons. But anyway, asked for a trade, ended up in Kitchener.
So you actually asked for a trade?
Yeah, I didn't want to go back my
career
30th.
decision.
I hated my coach.
Okay.
I hated every coach. I hated, you know what? Because I didn't need that. I wasn't soft. I would run through a wall for any coach, clearly, and I would fight for anybody, any teammate, even the guys I didn't like. Don't fucking talk to me like that. I don't need to be talked to like that. There's no need. Do you have any? Just ask me how willing I am to do something for you. You know.
Absolutely.
But you don't have to yell at me. Do you remember? Oh my God. See, this is what happens. ADD. Listen, stop
fine.
for a sec.
I
Do you
love
remember?
It. Yep.
We're playing in Rochester.
Okay.
We're 4th and 5th line guys, respectively.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
John Cristiano had the power play and penalty kill meeting.
Okay.
Do you remember this yet?
Just keep going.
So we are the only 2 guys not in the meeting.
I remember now, man.
So
that was really funny.
So we walk down, and we're just kind of like peeking our heads over the shoulders of everybody just to kind of be seen, right? Like
we're here.
We're
Hi,
2 guys. We want to learn.
Just let us be part of the group.
We want to learn. John Cristiano.
But we did say that, didn't we?
No.
I think we did, man. I swear I thought.
I think we just said we just want to be like what John Cristiano.
He's like, you guys don't need to be here.
No, he goes, Petey Mac, what are you guys doing here? You don't have to make him sound nice. Like Petey Mac, I love Johnny. I see him rarely, but I mean when I do, I love him. But he's like Petey Mac, what are you guys doing here? We're like, just thought we wanted to be. No, there's no reason for you to be here. Get out of here. Go. And we're just kind of like, and you turn and you're walking away. You go, holy fuck, man. and I'm just walking out, just absolutely demoralized. I'm just like, oh my God. This is like the worst day of the year so far. You know what I mean? And then Cunny's in the back. Do you remember this? We go into the bathroom and we're laughing so hard about this. And Cunny comes around the corner and he's like washing his hands and drying them. He goes, what are you guys laughing about? What are you guys laughing about? And we're just kind of like, nothing. And he goes, No, seriously, what are you laughing about?
That's exactly how Cuddy talked. That's exactly how Randy Cuddy would talk.
And then I'm like, you try to start telling him, but you're laughing. I go, Johnny just threw us out of the meeting.
I just got to interrupt. For those of you that are listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, we do have a YouTube channel. I would watch this because the animation with Andrew Peters is unbelievable.
Listen. So Johnny threw us out of the meeting. And he goes, what? It's like, what? And he's like chewing his gum. And he goes, fuck him.
That's exactly how it happened.
So from there on out, every meeting, Power Play Public Hill was a team meeting.
That's right, man. That's right. So that was because of us. And I think that might have been from every year after.
Yeah.
You third and fourth liners for Rochester that are in the PP meeting. You know why you're there now.
Okay, another Max story. This is not about this
is
unbelievable. So
I love it.
We're playing in Roch.
Yes.
I was the movie guy. I had I had the list of movies. I had the guy at the movie store would give us free movies for the bus. He loved hockey. We'd give him tickets.
Yep.
Whatever. I'd go pick him up. I put the list of movies. Remember, I'd be like, guys, any movie you want to see, write it down. I'll go get them after practice before we jump on the bus.
Yes.
Every road trip. Denny Hamel. Do you remember this? Denny Hamel. So I come in after practice. I'm dragging my stick. Or no, it was not. It was before practice because So I said, "Okay, remember, guys, right before we went on the ice, guys, write your movies down." And he goes, "How about shut the fuck up, Petey?" and then Mac goes. So we go out, we practice, whatever. I don't say a word. I let it go. And we're all stretching. And I just kind of do one of those kicks over and I slide over to you.
Yeah.
And I go, I'm going to go address Denny.
I remember this.
And you go, and you say to me, you're like, absolutely. I'm like, are you coming with me? You go, absolutely. So we skate over to him. And he's doing a shooting drill. Yeah. And we tap him on the shin pad. Yeah. And there's me, and there's you. And I'm like, what the fuck was that, Denny? He goes, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? And I said, what am I talking about? I said, what are you talking about? Shut the fuck up, Petey. What was that all about? He's like, come on. You know I'm just joking. I go, shut the fuck up.
Denny Hamel.
And then you come over the top. You go, yeah. Shut the fuck up, Denny.
Denny Hamel was a legend because he was on a one-way, right? Denny Hamel was on a one-way, got sent down to us. Buffalo was really not happy with him at all. So he kind of had a chip on his shoulder.
It's amazing. I liked him.
I loved Denny. I liked Denny Hamel.
But he had a tendency, and if he was honest, and I'm very honest with myself, if you can honestly look in the mirror and reflect back on who you were at certain times to certain people and whatever, can admit that you're an asshole at times.
Of course.
And he was an asshole at times. Yeah. But I liked him, but we hung out sometimes. But I mean, just don't do that to me. Yeah. I got a hard enough job. Okay? Like you get jumped, Danny, I would be in there for you. Remember that.
Right away too.
Yeah.
So now, Petey, before we continue with the pro, I want to touch up on the end of junior, which was when we played together, okay, with the Kitchener Rangers. Okay? You got now I can't remember the first name, but what was our GM's name? Mr. McDonald.
Jamie McDonald.
I
love Jamie McDonald.
Remember Jamie McDonald?
Yeah.
Now, this is what I wanted to ask you. Do you remember what our assistant coach would do to get us fired up before the games? It was a famous quote from like a heavy metal band. Started with "Are you?" Do you remember that? Are you ready?
Did he really?
Yeah, he did. You don't remember that?
No, that wouldn't fire me up.
That wouldn't fire you up.
No.
It fired me up.
I'd say, are you ready? In my head, I'm going, really? Are you ready? Like, are you going to fight fucking Erskine out there? Yeah, am I ready? Are you really asking if I'm ready? I've been ready for 3 days. You don't think I saw the schedule? You don't think I knew London was here? You don't think I knew this team was here? Don't ask me if I'm ready. Talk to the rest of the guys.
Let's talk about.
Yes, I'm here.
London
I'm ready.
And
I'm
Johnny
ready.
Erskine. Now, you and John Erskine are the same age. You guys were known as the 2 toughest guys in the league.
Were we?
Yes, absolutely. Man.
Really?
You and John Erskine. Andrew
I knew
Peters,
he was.
John
I
Erskine.
knew he was. I didn't.
So now
I didn't put myself.
there
in that
was
pedestal.
a game, I believe, in Kitchener
Yeah.
where London came into town and you guys fought, right?
Yeah.
How did that go with Johnny?
You know, this is deep rooted. John Erskine is deep rooted to me because my first year in junior. Well, first of all, it was and I hate using this word. I never use this word, but when it comes to junior heavyweights fighting and you hear about legendary fights, this absolutely goes down as one of the most, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it, the most legendary, and maybe no one even knows about it. And it was long, and it was heavy punches. It was shot for shot, and I remember in the middle of the fight, if you can fucking believe this, he's standing there, and he didn't have teeth. His front teeth, remember?
Front teeth were
he had
gone.
long, straggly blonde hair, and he says to me, and he's holding on, and I hit him. I'm like, whack! And he fucking goes like this. He goes, hit me again, Peters. And I'm like, what the fuck? I go, whack! And he just goes, whoosh! And he just let me hit him like 3 times. I couldn't believe it. And I just hit him, and I was like, I was starting to, here I am. I'm like, is this guy just taking bombs, or do I just not throw very hard? Like what is going on here? Like normally most guys are going down. This guy was still just standing there on his feet.
So you're talking about the Andrew Peters cocked back punch, where you get it all in there. The Andrew Peters full right extension. He was just shaking it off.
Well, yeah. Well, no, not even that. Like I was like up top here on him.
Okay.
So like I'm up top here, and I'm just like whack, whack, and he's not. So anyway, Erskine goes all the way back. Like for some reason, there was this unbelievable expectation for me to fight him in junior.
Yes,
and
you guys were the 2 top guys, man. That's
I'm
why.
talking about
That's
in our
why.
draft years. Like there were tougher guys than us. I think. Like
for your age, you guys were the toughest guys. Then when you guys were in your third year, you guys owned the league.
I don't know.
But continue. Sorry about.
But no. So I mean, I didn't fight him the first time in London, and I feel like there was like a major expectation of it, so then we played against each other, and even before that in the top prospects game, and everyone wanted me to fight him, and I didn't like that pressure. Like I didn't.
It's a lot of pressure for a teenager, man.
But at the time, I was thinking like I used to fight very organically, very kind of like off the cuff. I'd play hard. I'd run somebody over. Someone would come in and get me. I wasn't this drop the gloves and go. I played hard, and then I'd fight anybody, right? Like my first fight in the OHL, I was 17. Gerald Moriarty cross-checked me into the boards after a thing. I swear to, if he's an honest guy, I slapped the taste out of his mouth. and you know, like Colin Giacomo jumps in for me, you know, so it's like, you know, but there was always, it became like this pressure. And then my second year, we had like a shitty fight. I held on to him. And then London, when he came to Kitchener, it was like Jamie McDonald timed that trade on purpose. And it was,
that was a big one. That was a big one.
And then I fought him again in the NHL once. And he stung me.
When he was in Washington?
He stung me, man. He hit me hard. And
he stung everybody.
And I remember talking to Teppo Newman, and when he first came to our team, he was signed with Buffalo. Yeah. And we're sitting on the bench, we're skating at his was the old practice facility, and I'm sitting there talking, and I go, "Hey, you played in Dallas with that John Erskine?" And he goes, "Yeah." And then with this Finnish accent, he goes, heavy hitter," and I was just like, "I know, I trust me, I know." And I was a guy I just didn't want to cross paths with that often, and I did, and I didn't have to, but when I did, it was, you knew. I used to skate around NHL warm-up, no shoulder pads. I'd chat with him. I'd be like, "What's going on?" He'd be like, not in tonight. And he was like, he's a great guy. I mean, guy's a great guy, but like a maniac between the whistles, man.
Now, you just mentioned the name Tempo Numinum. I wanted to say that I had the opportunity to be roommates with Tempo during the preseason when we actually played in Rochester against Minnesota. We stayed at a really nice kind of resort hotel that was in the East End. I don't remember the name of it, but Tempo Numinum. We're in the hotel room and we're just about to have our nap, and I'm like, you know what, Tempo, I gotta tell you something, man. He's like, what's up? I'm like, buddy, like I used to play you in Nintendo 64, man. Like, I just sometimes I like being that was when he was on Winnipeg Jets before they moved. Yeah. And I'm like, Tempo, I honestly played you and you were so good that I had to keep using you, man. You were in my starting lineup. I just wanted you to know. He thought it was so interesting that was the case. He took it as the biggest compliment in the world.
He would.
I love seeing like the result of his the face on the look on his face, the look on his face that he had when I said that. It was priceless.
Yeah, that would mean a lot to him because I'll tell you what, he's a good man. He's a really good man. But
shout out to Tempo Numinum.
Shout out to Tempo Numinum. But he
what a name too.
What a guy.
Yeah.
What a guy. I remember that training camp. I remember that trip to Minnesota. I fought Derek Bugard.
Yeah. Okay, so that's in Minnesota. I'm talking about the game was in Blue Cross Arena in Rochester. You were hurt. I was playing.
And who was it against?
Minnesota. I fought Andre Nazarov.
That's right.
Yeah, in Rochester.
That's right.
Big Andre Nazarov post juice. Right? Because they implemented that rule, and I mean, this is a long time ago. People didn't, there was no rules. People, they say the old saying, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. But honestly, Nazarov was like 260, 270, and then after the rule change, he was about 210. So I got the 210 Nazarov. I think I was a little bit lucky that I got that. So
I never had to cross paths with him.
He was a tall man.
He was a big tough guy too. He was a big tough guy. I don't remember actually. I think he was also in Phoenix.
Yes, he was.
Right?
He was
and
in
I
Phoenix
feel
before.
like he jumped me in a game.
No way.
Yeah, and I sucked him in. He hit me about 6 times. I just buried my head. I kept my gloves on. We got a 7-minute power play. It was my rookie year. Lindy was praising me. We got a 7-minute power play. I think we got like 3 shots. And I got like 6 welts on my head.
Yeah. Hey, man.
A 7-minute power play, 3 shots, and I'm a rookie. I can't say anything, but either way, but that was my run-in with Nazarov.
Right on.
Do you remember me falling off the bench in Rochester? We were in Binghamton. End of a game. We're going out.
You were trying to hop over. You fell on your back.
And I fell on my back.
Yes, absolutely. I remember that, man. Very, very funny. Petey, one of the things that I would
Do you remember? Do you remember? We should call this a segment. Okay, this is the greatest story in the history of Sean McMorrow and Andrew Peters.
I can't wait to hear this.
I am at home in Rochester. Who was my roommate? I think at the time I was living with Pominville, maybe.
Probably, yeah.
Pominville might have been hurt too.
Okay.
And I'm at home with a bum shoulder.
Okay.
You're on the bus. Cell phones were just big. You're on the bus coming back from somewhere.
Okay.
I think you guys lost, and we could only follow the game on the radio. There's no streaming. Mm-mm. We listened to the game on Don. We listened to Don Stevens, voice of the Amherst, on the radio.
Still doing
that's not true. That's not true. We'd call the boys to see how the game went.
Yeah.
Did you work out? Yes. I went to World Gym. Got a good workout in.
Just
my
ask
point.
Palmer.
Yeah.
Because everybody loved Pominville, right?
My point
Shout
is this.
out to Pominville.
So here's the story. So I'm on the phone with you. I think you got in a fight.
Okay. No.
And I called to see how it went.
Okay.
And I said, hey, is Larry Carrier on the bus?
Oh, no. Larry Carrier, eh?
And you said, yeah, Petey, why? I said, oh, yeah, and we're giggling. I go, because things were bad. I think we were losing. I go, let me talk to him. And you go, okay. And I'm like, Mac, okay. Next thing you know.
Oh, you were being sarcastic.
Yes.
And I put Larry on the phone.
Next thing you know, the assistant general manager of the Buffalo Sabres
Larry Carrier,
yes, Larry Carriere, yes, Petey. I'm like,
I'm sorry I did that,
I'm like,
man. That's pretty gutless, man.
I said,
I didn't mean to do that.
I'm like,
I forgot what I was going to say. I'll call you back.
I said I was actually just joking. He goes, oh, okay. He goes, have a good night, Petey. And he hands the phone back. And I was like, oh, that was an awfully friendly tone. Maybe he doesn't mind an old-fashioned prank after all, right?
Yeah.
Next day at the rink, Cunny skates up. He goes, shh.
That's what he'd do.
He'd be like, so you think you're a funny guy?
No way. Really?
He goes, you think you're a funny guy? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, does he?
I don't know.
Does he
I don't
know?
Okay.
Does he
sorry.
know about the phone call? Does he not? Did Larry say something, or is Larry cool? Larry
a lot
said
of
something.
possibilities.
Larry
Yeah.
said something.
Yes.
Oh my God. I'm like, he's like, the phone call. He's like handing the phone to Larry Carey. He goes, you think that's funny? You think that's smart? I was like,
It was Mac.
I'm like, Cunny.
It was
I go,
McLaurel.
Cunny. I go, Cunny. No, it was not a good idea. I'm like, but did you honestly think that I thought Mac would be like, okay? I thought he'd be like, are you fucking nuts?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
I don't know what I was thinking.
I know what you were thinking. Sewer Petey.
Honestly,
I need his job. I need his job. Oh my God, you're such an asshole.
Okay, so listen. I appreciate all that stuff. One thing I'm
No, you
very
can't.
one thing
No,
I'm
you
very
can't.
interested in is you were a very high pick to the Buffalo Sabres. Okay, you were almost a first rounder, people. Right?
I'm aware.
You're like what? 7 picks out of
Two
the
more
first round.
expansion teams, and I'm
Oh, no.
34.
Okay, no, I hear you. But what were you? About 5 picks out of the first round?
7.
7 picks out of the first round.
And it was the New York Rangers pick. And do you know how Buffalo acquired that pick?
Let's hear it.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but I was the return in the Pat LaFontaine trade.
Whoa.
Pat LaFontaine to the New York Rangers
Whoa.
for the second round pick. The Rangers had the 7th pick overall in the first round, and they
Okay.
picked Manny Malhotra, Toronto legend,
Yeah.
and the 7th pick in the second. There were 27 teams. The 7th pick in the second round, so the 34th pick, if my OHL math is paying off.
Correct.
The Rangers, Buffalo had the Rangers pick, and they picked me.
Wow.
So how about that?
I mean,
and I hear about it from Sabre fans.
yeah.
Can't believe this is the guy we got for
I think it was,
LaFontaine. Do you know that Datsuk was a 6th rounder? Like, shut up, man. Like, the Scouts had 5 other rounds. They had 4 other rounds to get him.
did you meet with Buffalo before the draft?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Couple
so
times.
now one guy that I wanted to talk about a little bit is Mr. Don Luce. Was Mr. Don Luce in that meeting?
He was.
Right on. Now,
Don Luce drafted me.
Don Luce drafted you. Yes. Okay. So perfect. So now, I want you to tell the audience and listeners how unique that stuff was. You got a taste of some other organizations with Jersey and Florida and Vancouver and whatnot. So, Don Luce, to me, he seemed like he was my uncle. Like it was like a real family type relationship.
Do you know why?
The man.
Because, well, what round were you drafted?
I was an 8th round pick. to the
Because he
Buffalo Sabres.
cared about 8th round picks.
Yep.
He cared about 2nd round picks.
Yep.
He cared about 1st round picks equally.
Yep.
And he cared about the individual.
Yes.
And he wanted the best for the individual. And he was non-judgmental.
Yep.
He understood players. He understood young players. He was a mentor to me. He was a mentor to a lot of players. There were a lot of guys. When the Buffalo Sabres lost Don Luce, for whatever reason, I will never understand what happened there, but they lost a key piece and heartbeat to the organization, not just for the kids and not just for the players in Buffalo. Players in Buffalo didn't need him. We loved having him around. He was great, but they were there. It was the younger guys who needed the reminder, the reassurance. Like he knew, what players were thinking. He knew the wonders and the worries and of all these guys. And every time Don Luce was around, he made you feel like you were special and like you had a chance.
Yes.
And he always included family. Like he took in Alexander McGillney. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that, and I think you should get Donnie on your show. I don't know if you
I would love to have him on the show. Now, I know the McGillney story. Do you mind telling it?
Well, he and Jerry Meehan went over to I believe it was the World Juniors in Sweden, and they had an agreement with Alex and McGillney, and you should have him on to tell the story. But basically, he was going to leave the Soviet Union and defect and come to Russia, or come to the U.S.
United
to play for the Buffalo Sabres. They moved him around from like 3 or 4 different hotels or something throughout Sweden to get him on the flight. Like I think KGB was looking for them, and they were bouncing around. So, I mean, getting him out of there was a nightmare. And then the Luces had him at his house, and I think there were like Russians showing up at their door, like knocking on their door in the middle of the night, looking for Alex McGillney, and wondering where he was, because the KGB, even players like that were even probably Russians now in the league, there was like a Russian tax they had to pay. I don't know if you know this, but I played with a guy who showed up with a crowbar across the head because he didn't pay his Russian dues. But so I mean, they were serious about their hockey players over there and playing for the Soviet Union. But point is, the Luces did that. A dear friend of mine and a former roommate of mine, Luc Theoret, shows up to training camp, does his physical. Do you remember this story?
Luc Theoret. I just haven't heard that name in a long time.
Luc Theoret shows up to camp.
Yeah.
Does the drop and cough, which always made every guy uncomfortable. It's like, okay. But thankfully, they did that because they found a swollen testicle. And he went in for surgery right away, and the Luces kept him in Buffalo, so he had the best treatment, took him to his treatments, took him to his radiation, took care of him, helped build him back up to strength to play again. And he ended up returning and having a little career, but I think he had some issues with his hip because of the radiation. But the point is that he may never have had a chance to play in the NHL, but the Luce family did everything they could to give him a chance to play in the NHL. And,
absolutely. And
I know you probably feel the same way, and I know you probably had lots of discussions with him. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that name up. I'm glad that I'm glad that name is still important to you, because
very important.
I see him.
Is it Kelly, the daughter's
Kelly,
name? So Kelly is who I keep in touch with.
Yeah, Kelly
through
Kim.
Facebook.
Yeah.
She supports her dad so much. And I think I appreciate that. And I usually like her comment on her posts because it has like Don back in the day in the 70s playing for the Sabres with his big afro, no bucket.
If somebody, around. I'm going to say this, and it's not because it's Don Luce's daughter, and I love the Luce family, and I've known Kelly for years. But if there's one woman in the world that is built for a general manager job in hockey, it is Kelly Luce. There's not a woman I know that knows players, contracts, hands they shoot, skill sets, strengths, weaknesses. Oh my God, it is like insane. When you have a hockey conversation with her, I'm overwhelmed because she just trumps any time. I'm just kind of like, oh my God, Kelly. But man, she has a wealth of knowledge because of her dad. She idolizes her father, and Diane Luce.
Yes.
The heartbeat of the family.
Yes.
She is the most charitable human being on the planet, and she keeps that entire family grounded. So I'm glad you remember the Luces, because they're a very important family to me and throughout my journey as well.
So now, and I thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. I just want to give some appreciation to the Luce family. And big influence in Peter's and McMorrow's career and life, and you guys are the best. Now, Petey, I know we're doing a little bit of a collaboration between our shows. I'm definitely going to need you for a part 2. But before I let you go, I know that the viewers and listeners want to know a little bit about some of the confrontations that we had in our career. So now, I had the pleasure to listen to Mr. Terry Ryan's show, and I loved hearing the story because not only did it bring back memories, but I got to see, like, I got to hear, this is how Andrew looked at it. Like, that's pretty cool. Like, you know what I mean? Because we laughed about it, it moved on. We never really got into it. It happened. It's the stuff that we had to do. People would be blown away if they knew the type of dynamics that people can be in. Like, in our organization, you were the closest person to me. In Buffalo, Rochester, whatever, the whole organization. I was best friends with you out of all the guys that were my age, Thorburn, Pominville, Miller, all those guys, I was closer to you.
Yeah, I was.
So I know the preparation you had for that camp. I appreciate that. The preparation you had for that camp. But now here's the twist. My preparation probably wasn't as good, but mentally it was on the same par. Do you remember who my agent was? Do you remember Sugar?
Yeah.
Mike Welcome?
Yeah.
How we represented Eric Bolton as well?
Yeah.
Now, how awkward is those dynamics? My agent is the other tough guy and my agent, and then there's Andrew, who you and Sugar, you guys didn't even get along, did you? Did you guys get along? Yeah, you guys got along.
He wanted to rep me, and we went out, we talked, and I went a different direction, and I mean,
pretty good one direction.
Yeah, but I just, I don't know if there was any animosity there. I never treated it like there was, but I think he definitely wanted his guys to rip my head off.
So now, well, I'll tell you, because like Mike, he was very, very aggressive in. Do you know how you were thinking? I gotta destroy anybody in my path. Eric Bolton, Sean McMorrow. I don't care who it is.
Well, you know what? I'll say this.
I don't care who it is. I'm destroying anyone in my path. That's what Mike Welcome would say to me about you. You have to fight Petey today. You have to fight him. You have to go right up to him. Well, Mike, what if there's nothing going on? It doesn't matter. You just skate up to him. You say, let's go, Petey. Let's go. That's what I was told in my head. So when that morning in St. Catharines, when we had that...
Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Did you need him to tell you that, or did you already know that?
I didn't need him to tell me that.
Well, you were going to... I was going to tell you that the first time we stepped on the ice.
Up the things, man.
Buddy, he didn't... I didn't hear what you just said.
No, I said he didn't have to tell me, but did he ever boost up the reasons?
Like, yeah.
He made it obvious that it's something that I had to do if I even wanted to think about having a chance to make this team.
Well, it was something you had to do. I was going to make you do it.
Yeah, well, and this.
But okay. It wasn't happily. It was not happily. It wasn't as happily as it was punching Ryan Jordy in the face. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
shout out to Ryan Jordy.
Shout out to Ryan Jordy. Called him up with Pominville. Called him, pretended to be Larry Carrier. Told him to pack his shit, get to the Adams Mark. You're called up, kid. I call him back. I'm sitting in the car with Palmer. I just fake call him. He thinks he's getting called up because he used to carry his passport on all the road trips, just in case he got called up. And he actually thought, so I called him back. I was like, listen, man, it's Petey. I hope you know, that was me that called. And he was just kind of like, he paused. And he was crushed. I was like, because before I was like, I'm like, be at the Adams Mark in 9:15 stretch down at whatever, the Marine Midland Arena, HSBC, whatever rink it is now, whatever it was. And told him to be there. And I called him right back. I was like, yeah, so it's Petey. Sorry, man. You knew I was kidding, right? And he's like,
I never knew about this, man.
Oh, yeah.
I guess I don't remember.
Yeah. Palmer's the dick because he was like, yeah, great idea.
So, Petey.
No, yeah, that was brutal.
Before we go, I just want to lay out a couple of facts that, like,
we haven't even gotten to the fight yet. What time we got to sign out of here? Jesus. Okay.
That's why I said that about the part two.
Fight. How'd you end up on the ice?
Okay, so now remember how I told you I have video of this? It's a UK fan named John Searson that has all my fights from 2000 to 2010,
wow,
including the training camp footage. I need to find it. It's somewhere at my mom's house, but I'm going to dig it out, and we're going to find it.
Get on that, Sheila.
The fight was a good fight. You got me down, right?
I didn't hit you down. Like, I think we just kind of, you fell.
We went down. You were on top on that one. You got the decision, okay?
Nah.
As we got up, you got up first. I was on one knee.
Oh.
And there was the blow. Now,
only
you
one?
gave a cheap shot.
There was only one?
Like 3 or 4, probably.
Yeah.
You gave a cheap shot, but then I returned a cheap shot.
Well, the best part
Do you
about the story is, though, we get back to the penalty box and you're yelling at me, and we're half dressed.
Across the bench.
We weren't
Across the
even
ice.
dressed.
No.
And someone said, I was telling Chris this tonight. I said, I'm like getting an elbow pad on. I'm like sucking wind. It's like the second fight at camp. Your hand's already swollen. And you're like, woo, 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 across.
Peters!
Yeah.
Peters,
That was
you
bullshit.
gutless.
That was
You're
gutless.
gutless, Peter.
You're gutless.
So what did you do?
And someone goes, I think Mac's talking to you. I think it was Doug Janik. And I looked and I was just like, oh no. And I stood up. I was like, rah, 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 rah. I was just bluffing. I was like, whatever, Mac. Rah, 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 rah. Shouldn't have fallen down. Rah, rah. Right? Plays going on. I'm like, yeah, let's go right now. You're like,
that's what it was.
Let's go. And you like jump over the boards, and everyone's like, and the coaches and everyone, because there was like assistant coaches from like scouts and shit were the ones that were coaching those games, because all the big dogs were up top
in the stands.
and everyone's just kind of like, what the is going on here? And we're going. No shirts, no shoulder pads.
Yeah.
Right? Refs get in. Okay.
Refs get in. Yeah.
Refs
break
get
it
in.
up.
And then all of a sudden, and I deserve this.
Right?
Wow,
Well,
I
that's
don't
what
know.
it was.
I don't know if it was that. It was more like that.
Hey, but your tooth got knocked out, right? Hey, well, listen. So, right on. So now, okay. So before we go, the most interesting part of that story is me and Petey caused so much havoc in training camp that they were forced to put us on the same team. They put us on the same team from that day on for the rest of the camp, I believe. We were on the same team, man. They wouldn't let us play against each other anymore. We can't let these guys play against each other. They're going to kill each other. They're both under contract. It's going to cost us money. We're going to have 2 funerals. Buffalo Sabre, HSBC
We
funeral.
need one of them here and one in Raj. Jesus. Okay. You both want to be here. Go try and play.
Yes. Petey, will you promise me a part 2, my friend?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And I just want to say to end
Yes.
that, and I mean this with all due respect and with all my heart, I'm sorry that we lost touch all those years, and I have always thought about you. I believe the competition and hockey and the roads that the paths that we end up on, for whatever reason, you just kind of lose touch. And I want you to know that I've always thought about you, and I've always said this to you. You are one, if not my favorite teammates that I ever had, and I'm so honored to be here on your show, and I truly love you, man. I truly
appreciate
love you.
that.
And there's so many memories. It's not an easy job what we did, and when you come on our show, I want to talk about you playing in that Quebec Senior League. I gotta hear some.
Absolutely.
But listen,
So now-
you're not allowed to do any more podcasts until you come on our show. That is a rule. And I'm not
Well,
saying here.
I mean, I'm
not saying here. I'm saying you can't be a guest on anyone else's.
An official
you can't,
invite.
No, anyone else's. You can do the Sheriff, do whatever you want. I love it. It's great. But you're not allowed to be a guest anywhere else until you sign on with us.
Okay, cool. So now what I want you to do now, Ryan Reeves started the trend. You got to do a mic drop, Petey. You did some incredible stories tonight, buddy. You got to do the mic drop.
Do I
man.
have to say a line? I got a
You
line.
can do whatever you want, man.
Will Ryan Reeves see this or hear this?
I hope Ryan Reeves watching stuff like this.
Ryan? Okay. I don't know if I would have beaten you or you would have beaten me. I don't know. But I do believe that if you played from my era or before, might have been like the top between 40 and 30.
Ryan, you need a rebuttal for this, man.
26, 33. I don't know. You're tough, man. He's tough as nails, and he's in full control. But I'm going to tell you something.
He's the
man.
heavyweight champ right now. He's the heavyweight champ of the NHL right now. Him and Lucic are the top 2, but Reeves has got it.
Really?
Yeah, buddy.
I love Lucic.
They
He's
say
one of my favorite players to ever play the game,
The show's never ended, ever.
But I don't know that he's one of the heavyweight champs of the league. Right now. Tom Wilson is by far the toughest player.
Who's that?
Tom Wilson. The only difference
Tom
is
Wilson?
Tom Wilson.
But Reeves owns Wilson, though.
Does he?
Yeah, man.
Officially?
No, not officially, but he's beaten them in most of their fights.
haven't seen
Anyway,
him.
I believe Reeves is the heavyweight champ.
Yeah,
Wilson,
okay.
Wilson's right up there, too.
Where would Reeves be in between 96 and 2006?
That's in another episode of the Sheriff Podcast.
I have a ton of respect for the guy. I love him, but just letting you
So-
know. But he's a huge add to the Leafs. Love you, man. See you.
That's it. That's it. The mic drop. There you go. Andrew Peters. And this is going to wrap up the show, guys. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Sheriff. We'll see you soon, guys.
Woo!
Let's go! Thanks for tuning in, baby.